Hollywood, Los Angeles, the city of lost angels, countless movies have been created about magical myths and legends told from ancient times. Myths have fed the imaginations and souls of humans for thousands of years and helps give us insight on what our true history really might have looked like. Some of the most captivating stories speak of celestial angels, while others speak of those expelled from heaven, known as fallen angels, or the Watchers. Some would say that it is the fallen ones, fallen angels who corrupted humans. One story says that when God created man, a jealous angel orchestrated a great rebellion in heaven. Some say his name was Lucifer, meaning the morning star. A war had begun in heaven. His army of angels were defeated and forever banished from paradise. These are the fallen. Exiled from heaven, they wandered the earth, banished until the rebel angel abandons evil, or some would say love. They lusted over human women, mated with them, and fathered abominations. Hybrid children called Nephilim. The Creator was furious at these angels for corrupting humans, and so flooded the earth, killing its inhabitants, including the Nephilim and the fallen. But that's just one version of the story. Another version says that God sent these angels to earth to look after the humans, hence the Watchers, but shortly after they became corrupt in their ways. Some believe that a few of the fallen might have survived, forcing them to hide underground. Fallen angels. The idea of fallen angels derived from the Book of Enoch, and the sons of God mentioned in Genesis 6, 1-4 are angels. There are many different ancient texts recorded in our history about angels and fallen angels. No other goes into great detail about fallen angels like the Book of Enoch. It is an ancient religious text comprising of various tales by Enoch, the father of Methuselah and the great-grandfather of Noah. Part of the Book of Enoch describes the fall of the Watchers, the angels who fathered the human hybrids called Nephilim. From the Book of Enoch, and the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Then they swore they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations. And so, the angels plunged from the heavens to take wives of their own choosing, defying the Creator's will. They numbered 200 and were led by their leaders. The fallen angels became identified with those led by Satan in rebellion against God later in Christianity. The story goes on to say that when the fallen began their corruption upon the earth, they started offering gifts of knowledge to both mortal men and women. They taught the humans about astrology, made known to them the metals of the earth, the art of working them, and how to make weapons of war. They taught them the art of sorcery and enchantments, magic. They grew such a lust for human women that they could not resist the temptation of mating with them. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go unto them, to defile themselves with them. They committed fornication, and were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. And they became pregnant, and they bore great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. This results in the creation of the Nephilim, the giants, as described in Genesis. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. The angels intervening into the natural order of things had infuriated the Creator, so the Watchers, and all that had been corrupted, were about to feel the wrath of God. The fallen angels are also equated with demons. In John Milton's Paradise Lost, the rebel angels are depicted as falling out of heaven and into hell. As they fall, the angels become demons. All synoptic gospels identify Satan as the leader of demons. The archangels appeal to God for judgment of the inhabitants of the world, the Nephilim and the fallen angels. God sends the archangels down to earth to deal with the Nephilim and the fallen ones. Uriel is sent to tell Noah of the coming cataclysm and what he needs to do. Tell him that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth. Instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. God sends a great flood to purge the world of these creatures. Their bodies are destroyed, yet their souls survive, roaming the earth as demons. Needless to say that the global demise of the fallen angels took form in a great flood. In John Milton's Paradise Lost, Pandemonium is the capital city of hell, where the devil resides. In Dante's Inferno, hell is depicted as 9 concentric circles of torment, located within the earth, where Satan is held in bondage. In the very center of hell, condemned for committing the ultimate sin against God, is the devil, referred to as Dis, the Roman god of the underworld. Satan is a giant beast trapped waist deep in the ice. He has 3 faces, each a different color. One red, the middle, one a pale yellow, the right, and one black, the left. Some say that Satan's 3 faces are thought to suggest his control over the 3 human races. Others say that it is symbolic, meaning the devil is within, only if you let him in. Red for the Europeans, from Japheth. Yellow for the Asiatic, from Shem. Black for the African, the race of Ham. The Latin word Lucifer, meaning the morning star, the planet Venus, or light bringer, pre-exists Christianity. The term Lucifer was often used by Christians to refer to Christ. For example, in Revelation 22, verse 16, where the resurrected and triumphant Christ refers to himself as the morning star. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root of the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. It wasn't until the year 1611, when the King James Version of the Bible was published, that the word Lucifer started to become more synonymous with Satan. The early part of the 4th century in the West was shaped by Constantine the Great, who became the first Roman emperor to adopt Christianity. The image of the fallen morning star, or fallen angel, was then applied to Satan by early Christian writers. As a result, Lucifer, or Hellel, became the template for the devil and Satan in Christianity. Jesus said to them, I watched Satan fall from heaven like lightning. Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Lucifer is most recognized in association with the name for the devil, but some scholars reject the identification of Lucifer with Satan or the devil and consider it to be false. Others characterize Lucifer as a spiritual opposite to Christ, giving humanity a balanced path. The Christian version of the fallen angels is slightly similar to the Book of Enoch, especially with regards to the name of their leader. From the Book of Enoch, we have Shemyaza and Azazel, to Hallel, Lucifer, Satan, and the devil in Christianity. So why all the name changes? Even the Babylonian king is described as a fallen morning star in Isaiah 14, verse 1 through 17, and was first to be identified with a fallen angel by origin. This description was interpreted both as an angel and a human king. Luciferianism is a belief structure that is attributed to Lucifer. Inspired by the teachings of Gnosticism, Lucifer is not associated to the devil, but looked at as a savior, a guardian, instructing spirit, or even the true God as opposed to Jehovah. In Anton LaVey's The Satanic Bible, Lucifer is one of the 4 crowned princes of hell, particularly that of the East, the Lord of the Air, and is called the bringer of light, the morning star, intellectualism, and enlightenment. Many people claim that Freemasonry is associated with worshipping Lucifer. Allegedly, 33rd degree Grand Wizard Freemason Albert Pike had addressed that Lucifer was God and was in opposition to the evil God. Freemasons say that when Albert Pike and other Masons spoke of Lucifer, they were referring to the morning star, the light bearer, the search for light. Pike says in Morals and Dogma, Lucifer, the son of the morning, is it he who bears the light? Lucifer or Satan is considered an archangel in Christian tradition and by Satanists. Now looking into archangels, we find out some interesting information. Archangel literally means chief angel. They are angels of high rank and are found in many different religious texts. The most well-known archangels are Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. The Book of Enoch also mentions Metatron as an archangel, and he is called the highest of the angels. Occultists associate archangels in Kabbalah with various seasons, elements, and colors. It is particularly interesting that in some Kabbalah-based systems of ceremonial magic, all 4 of the main archangels, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, and Uriel, are invoked as guarding the 4 quarters or directions, and their corresponding colors are associated with magical properties. The original esoteric Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where Aleister Crowley was trained, used a ceremonial magic ritual that invocated the words, "Before me Raphael, behind me Gabriel, on my right hand Michael, on my left hand Uriel." In the Genesis story, the tree of knowledge of good and evil is situated in the Garden of Eden, together with the tree of life and Satan, disguised as a serpent, who tempts Eve to eat the apple from the tree of knowledge. The serpent, or snake, is one of the oldest mythological symbols in the world. Snakes have been associated with some of the oldest rituals known to mankind, and represent dual expression of both good and evil. Historically, serpents and snakes represent fertility, or a creative life force. As snakes shed their skin, they are symbols of rebirth, transformation, immortality, and healing. The Ouroboros is a symbol of eternity and the cyclic nature of the cosmos. Serpents are represented as potent guardians of temples and other sacred spaces. In the story of Buddha, the serpent king Mukalinda shields Buddha, who has sat beneath a tree in meditation, from a storm that arises. serpents are connected with venom and medicine because the snake's venom has the power to either heal or kill. It is very clear that the serpent plays two roles of being both good or bad. It could either destroy you or protect you. Because of all the snake's incredible abilities, they are considered to be one of the wisest animals and being close to the divine. The Greek god of medicine and healing, Asclepius, carried a staff with one serpent wrapped around it, which has become the symbol of modern medicine. Hermes carried a staff with two snakes entwined, paired opposites, called the caduceus, representing both negative and positive energy, or male and female energy. Dragons are legendary creatures that appear in the folklore of many cultures worldwide, usually described as having wings to fly and capable of breathing fire. The Chinese dragon is the highest ranking creature in the Chinese animal hierarchy. Occasionally, dragons and serpents are used interchangeably, having similar symbolic functions. The root of the words Draco in Latin and Draken in Greek mean to watch or to guard with a sharp eye. The dragons were guardians of temples and treasures, such as the golden fleece, as well as the springs of life and immortality itself. Dragons are regarded as the Watchers, as represented in movies such as The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12 speaks of Satan as a great red dragon and is defeated in the war in heaven against Archangel Michael and his angels. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. The ancient Sumerian, Mesopotamian goddess Inanna, Babylonian Ishtar, is associated with the planet Venus, just like Lucifer. She was originally worshipped in ancient Sumer under the name Inanna and was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians under the name Ishtar. She is associated with love, beauty, sex, war, justice, and political power. Inanna was known as the Queen of Heaven, and her husband was the god Tammuz. Tammuz appears as one of Satan's demons in John Milton's Paradise Lost, shown here in this engraving from 1866. Apparently, Tammuz is the son of Nimrod and Queen Semiramis. Nimrod is both husband and son to Semiramis, who is associated with the whore of Babylon. Nimrod is mentioned in the book of Genesis and the book of Chronicles, the son of Cush, and therefore the great-grandson of Noah. Biblical traditions identify Nimrod as the ruler who commissioned the construction of the Tower of Babel, which led to his reputation as a king who was rebellious against God, as mentioned in Genesis 11. Aphrodite is the Greek equivalent to Inanna, also known as Ishtar. She is a goddess associated with love, lust, beauty, pleasure, passion, and procreation. Venus is the Roman equivalent to Inanna, also known as Ishtar and Aphrodite, a goddess who encompassed love, beauty, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. Atlas, Perseus, and Hercules from Greek mythology were what we would call in Hebrew Nephilim, offspring from the intermarriage of a god and an earthly woman. In ancient Sumerian and Mesopotamian texts and sculptures, we have the story of the Anunnaki. These ancient civilizations looked at these beings as the watchers of Earth. They have wings just like angels do, with a human appearance and some bird-like. They are seen wearing a wristband that resembles a wristwatch that some believe to be some kind of portal device. They are also seen holding what appears to be a pine cone in one hand and a handbag or a bucket on the other. The great Sumerian ruler Gilgamesh, in the Book of Enoch, often describes the Anunnaki in much the same way that Enoch describes the Watchers. Who are the real fallen ones? Is it an army of angels, or is it us, we the human race? The ancient stories of demons, dragons, flood myths, giants, or hybrid humans, half man, half god, fallen angels, or celestial beings with wings to fly, are deeply embedded in cultures and religions all over the world. Perhaps some of these myths have clues to the real story, found in different religions and texts, just like a giant jigsaw puzzle, waiting to be solved. There are many different versions to the story, but there can only be one truth. Perhaps the stories of the fallen ones, whether it be the angels or Adam and Eve, symbolize the fall of humanity and the quest to find truth and paradise once more. Although historians still consider this time frame in human history as unproved and fictional, there are numerous ancient texts of the days when gods walked among men and when mythological creatures were not just a figment of imagination. Today, it seems that our remote history is either not allowed to surface, either because it would change the world as we know it and annihilate the global power structure, or because that cycle of human history was never meant to be known. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. The second greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he is the good guy.